Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm your host, Alexis Soto, joined by David Francisco and Alexis Moreno. We're back here for some rather inexplicable reasons. Somehow, we're here to react to the third episode of Ahsoka. These last two episodes, or our reactions to them, are already available on YouTube only. And if you saw that, I'm not sure you'd see what we'd have to say here, considering that it was very overwhelmingly negative. In fact, it was even more negative than I was thinking it might be and hoping it would be, obviously. I feel like very clearly we walked away with this is pretty bad, and it's pretty devastating in comparison to like what our love is for the animated shows that feature these characters. So I would say it was pretty devastating all around. I'm not sure anybody else has a very differing opinion. We all seemingly felt like exactly the same ways in all of the ways that it disappointed us and made us visibly angry. So we'll react to it. We'll give you our reactions in real time. Obviously, that's what this is for. And if we talk over it sometimes, well, I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? At some point, there will be things that will be said, and it will piss us off. So I'm not sure really
And
who's
maybe you.
enjoying this, and it will be me. I mean, it always
No,
is
and
to an
maybe
extent.
the audience.
Or it may be, hey, it may be the audience too. But I mean, look, we're just here to. I'm not. We're not basically people who feel like we add or bring any kind of, let's say, balance to it. But of course, I mean, the the, the overwhelming takes of this show have been pretty positive. You know,
Yeah.
there've
Well,
been
let's talk about it because I feel like you
yes,
and David talked about it. I
yes.
wasn't there,
We
You mean
did.
the
but
podcast that we had? Yeah, we had a
my
lot to say. Yeah.
yeah, my only like issue with the reactions is I've heard many people be like, "It's good, I liked it," and then give all of these reasons why it's not good and why they didn't like it, but for some reason cannot say it wasn't good, I didn't like it. Like, just say it. It's okay. It's okay to have these opinions. Like, it adds to the conversation. I don't know. Like, just say it. So that was getting me kind of angry. And they would like go into detail as to why like they didn't like things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Just be honest, guys. It's fine. No biggie.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned, I'm sure many of those people have no interest in doing what we do, which is have a very overwhelmingly negative in tone podcast that trashes the show pretty much. Because if they do that, they'll scare off people and then they won't have as many views and then whatever revenue stream will go down. So if there is a reason for why that's the case, there it is. Thankfully, we make nothing. So we can be as negative and as harsh as we'd like. And it's hilarious because if you think we're negative right now, imagine if Peter were in these reactions. We'd be here all night.
Mm.
So maybe that's why he's not here. Also, he's kind of being crushed by nursing. Anyway, yeah, I don't have any great expectations. I feel like my opinion of this show, no matter what goes on from here, has been made. I have no faith. The first two episodes were so unbelievably abysmal. Like, and they so inadequately gave us a reason to stay here, gave us any kind of information as to why we would want to stay with these characters, what this story is here to do or service as. This is basically the this is a show for Star Wars fans who just want to watch things happen in the Star Wars universe without any kind of rhyme or reason or any kind of story or themes really attached to it. And if there are, it and maybe there are, but it just probably is very, and the nice way of saying is inartfully executed. But we would say um, it was not great. And you want to hear more about our thoughts or reaction again on YouTube? And as Alexis mentioned, David and I literally did like a long ass podcast, going even further as to like why we have such deep issues, which again nobody else seems to bring up. But anyway, that's where we're at. Does anybody else want to comment about anything before we start? Okay, let's go ahead and get into it then.
Stop that ship.
For the Empire!
It's just so funny because like he says that and she's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't hear that the first time. I heard people talking about it, and I'm like, no.
doesn't it
Thank
make you
God
vomit
I
in
did
your
not
mouth?
hear that.
You didn't hear it? I was disgusted by hearing it. Honestly, it was like, well, isn't that the cherry on top? You didn't. This is the first time you're seeing that?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
I learned that the hard way.
Did
You're
you
training the
though?
body.
Did you though? You got stabbed by a freaking lightsaber. And by the way, didn't I call it all those freaking Qui-Gon Jinn memes? I told you people were gonna bring that up, and then people also thought about Han Solo getting stabbed. Okay. Is anyone else bothered by how she walks? I'm sorry. There's not really anything interesting going on here, so I'm just gonna like look at how Rosario Dawson's walking. Doesn't it just? I don't know. Even her walking just feels inauthentic.
It just, all of this just like does not feel earned.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm not a fan of the exposed shoulders. And the costume, it feels way too black. Like, where's the color?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that she wore a gray cloak in Rebels, but still,
At
she
least she's
wasn't.
not wearing the hoodie thing.
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't like that.
Let's go again.
I'm just so confused.
How long was that? That was.
6
Was it-
minutes and 52 seconds.
Are you sure it was that
Like-
long? I think half of that or some of it must have been the recap.
Yeah, some of it. I don't know. I think in total it might have been like almost 4.5 at the very least. But yeah, that was too long. They could have shortened that.
And it's so confusing. I just don't understand.
Like, does she have the Force or not?
Yes.
It's like,
Does she? I don't think she does.
I don't think she does,
That she
and-
doesn't.
if she doesn't, this makes no sense. If she does, fine. But you could have gone a whole lot faster.
Okay, this is the only good part. Let's see.
How's young Jason? Fine, Chancellor. In fact,
Okay.
Okay,
We know
so
he's alive.
okay, no. When
We know he exists.
I was legit wondering if she even had a kid, okay? And then when Peter showed the picture of the kid in our group chat and all that, I was like, I'll talk about this after this. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
unless Thrawn returns.
Make your point, General.
Oh
She just
my
did. She
God.
just did.
I do love the fact that the kid just has green hair. But also,
That was a good scene. I like that.
eh,
I mean, obviously it's frustrating, but I think that's what was meant to happen.
at least she showed more emotion than
Yeah.
the last episode.
I mean, at this point, Hera is the only one carrying this show.
A chopper.
And Chopper, yeah, I should say Chopper's amazing.
Yeah. No, but also, okay, so they did put the kid in the show. Why isn't he being trained by Ahsoka? Like, more than likely, he has the Jedi powers. And how great would that have been? Like, Ahsoka and Hera, like, basically being mothers to him and all that.
Yeah.
And they could have had
Well-
like a great adventure.
Here's the flaw in that thinking. Who the fuck is Ahsoka? And how does she do any of this in the first place? Because, like, okay, look, what we're watching just now. So she's a Jedi again. When did that
Yeah.
journey happen? So she's a Jedi again. There's no more, I'm no Jedi. That whole thing was just like, it was closed. The book was closed off the screen. Okay. Now, if she's a Jedi and she's going to basically teach people like Luke is, well, not only are they, remember, they're not really doing anything new. They're just restoring the Jedi as they used to be. And what does that involve? Taking kids away from their parents and training them elsewhere outside their parents. Ahsoka is she mentioned on the ship the whole time. She's always going from one place to the other. She rarely bumps into Hera. Why would Hera want to give up being a mom? It wouldn't be her and Ahsoka raising it. Like it'd be like it's like what happened with Leia. Leia basically let Ben, Kylo Ren, go off with Luke, and she never saw him again until things went to crap.
Well, then that's how it could have worked out, though. Like Hera wouldn't give up her kid, just take him to Ahsoka, and then that's it. They will work together. They will want to work. They'll be working together with this. They'll be working together to find.
Go ahead.
They'll be working together to find Thrawn. At the same time, Hera finds out that he has some Force powers and all that.
Like so they could all be together in the show. Basically.
It's just kind of like they're forced together because of Thrawn. Now, because they're forced together, Ahsoka kind of doesn't have a choice but to train him. And then we could have seen like the beginning of Ahsoka training somebody and how that affects her. Also, what's the kid's name? Jason. Because his dad was a Jedi, he'll keep telling Ahsoka, "I want to be a Jedi. Turn me like a Jedi," and she'll be like, "I can like show you things that I learned," but it's like it's gonna be that struggle with her going like, okay, do I actually teach him like a Jedi, or do I just kind of like teach him the best parts of what I liked? And then that's the other struggle of like, I don't know how to fight a war. I don't know like how do I make him a peacekeeper. I don't want to train him to fight a war. I want to train him to just control his powers, be a peacekeeper. How do I do that? Like that can be a very interesting thing for her to go to. Oh, look at what's happening right now. Oh my god, no.
Sabine, I've got Hera.
What was that delivery? Sabine, I have Hera. Oh my god. I'm sorry, David. I didn't mean to blow off what you just said, but like that just...
That's fine. I didn't even notice how she said it, but...
But yeah, no, I agree. I feel like that's a far more interesting story than what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And then Sabine can be there too. She can be the older sister to Jason and all that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But I mean, it would just be like another Ezra, her situation. So I don't know.
I like the score.
Yeah. We're just trying to reach.
Not be as negative, guys.
We're reaching.
I like her hair.
I like her. I like how she looks. I actually really like how she looks.
I like the pew pew pew. No.
Oh my god.
Yes, I would say it is some sort of hyperspace ring.
No, but that's what it is. It's just massive. Like those rings were like really small for the Jedi ships they had during the Clone Wars.
Surprised you let them get this far. Stay clear. I shall deal with them.
What are you gonna do?
I know. Also, their fight scene was really bad.
I tuned it out.
I know. It's just how were the bad guys missing one ship? There was way too much open space. I know it's in space, but like, it's just kind of like, where do you go? Just down.
I mean, it's very obviously trying to do the whole Han Solo, Luke Skywalker thing from New Hope. Like, he even had one of the lines included. It's just there's no charisma between the two leads, so it's just flawed from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Aside from the direction just being nothing. I mean,
the only one that can like really closely compare it to is the one in Force Awakens with Finn and Poe, but like, I mean, I know you were mentioning...
But even that's not even fair because, I mean, I'm sorry, it's not even fair, that comparison, because, I mean, John Boyega and Oscar Isaac together are, like, amazing.
Yeah.
This is what this is.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't really know how to explain this, but like how it was just so boring. There wasn't a lot of back and forth going on, and you mentioned though too, like they literally said the line of like, "Yeah, I got one." And I almost expected her to say, "Don't get cocky, kid," that. But at least with like
that would have been something.
Yeah. At least with,
even
like,
if they just like verbatim, I know they would have. It would have been like copying, but that would have been something.
But at least with like Finn and Poe, the camera work was like moving. The editing was like moving fast.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is like it lingered too long in
Lingered
different
too long
shots.
and all that. Yeah. And I mean, they also did have the advantage of like meeting for the first time and all that, So I don't know. And this one's just kind of like,
Oh no.
Yang's down.
He's also the good part.
Are you gonna
Work
finally
next, I'm
do
going.
something interesting and use the powers you should have used last episode to keep everyone from escaping, or you could have single-handedly wiped the floor with everybody else? Is that too much to hope for?
I think it is. I think I saw a
Maybe.
picture of what's about to happen.
Did you? I know. I was thinking the same thing. I mean, when all else fails, right?
I see her.
She looks so cool.
Now imagine how awesome that moment would have been in animation.
She would have
Doesn't
moved a
that
lot
just, like-
faster somehow.
I know.
Okay. They go to the planet. That'll probably make it more fun to fight. See, like, this is better. Like, they can hide in the clouds. They can maneuver more better. And all. It's just, it was way too much open space.
Oh, shit. It's the Purgill.
Is Ezra going to be, like, riding on one of them or something? And
He's
then...
gonna Pinocchio it and be inside of them. They're so scary looking.
I know. Were they that big? I feel like they were, like, small.
I mean, they're
They're
whales.
big.
They're supposed to be scary
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
Alexis knows.
Alex's biggest fear. I feel like we're literally just seeing them fly.
That's all we're doing. Yeah. That's it. That's all this is.
It lost me.
I know.
Seriously, like, what the fuck? What was that? Like, again, another fight scene, Rey and Finn together, like when they first rode on the Millennium Falcon. Like, how fucking great was that? Again, that one was in the desert too, a lot of open space, but they found a way to maneuver somewhere so that they can get more cover and all that, and just got creative with the dangers, really. Like when the gun jammed and all that, there was nothing here. Oh my god, nothing happened.
We're in episode 3.
That was fucking lame. I'm trying not to be this rude, but like that was fucking lame.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, honestly, nothing happened in this episode. What did we learn? They won't let Hera go track down.
That was the only interesting thing that happened in this episode.
Yeah, and the thing though is,
And it
Cause-
had nothing to do with Ahsoka.
it had nothing to do with Ahsoka, but also like you knew it was coming right even before the conversation started. Like you knew they were gonna say no. It's like cool, but like, can your reasons be better than just, we don't believe Thrawn is alive? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Can we just? I'm just asking for like a small fleet, though. Not the not entire fucking
And like
army.
nothing happened with that either though, because they were literally just like, let's just talk. We'll get back to you.
Mhm.
No, actually, I don't know if you guys caught it. Maybe we were talking over it, but they actually got back to them with the decision.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, when Hera was talking to Ahsoka and
Oh,
Sabine, or-
yeah.
It's because we were like,
Complaining.
well, I was just like criticizing her delivery, and you guys are laughing, and then it's like, then it went into something else. I forgot, but no, the Hera before her message cut off was saying that, yeah, the fleet's not coming. They've decided they don't give a shit. Which was pretty expected. I would say I'll give the episode this. It made me angry in a different way. It made me angry, not necessarily because of the quality of things, although that's definitely still at play here. But it was successfully able to frustrate me and anger me with what was being communicated in that sequence. Because, and again, it kind of just speaks to this whole thing of what I was mentioning last week, or I don't know what podcast it was, about this whole situation of, well, Favreau, Filoni, Kennedy have decided that the New Republic is just amazing levels of incompetent, which is what ultimately led to the rise of the Nazis, which, you know what, may not be necessarily all that dumb, considering that it very much mirrors real life. You know, we're living in a time in which our democracy is crumbling. The neo-Nazis are rising. I mean, look at the recent poll. If the presidential election were held today, the person that has been indicted 4 times and charged with over 94 felonies would win. If that isn't a damning indictment on us as a people and a society, I don't know what would happen. Now, that isn't to say that anybody else is any better or that much better, but the reality is, probably what would eventually be a convicted felon would win the presidential election. So on that level, I'll give them some points, I guess, for trying to, I guess, put a mirror back at us, but let's not pretend that's what's happening here. I feel like they've just went this route because they couldn't think of any better ideas. And this is Star Wars. And of course, I don't mind it when this kind of storytelling tries to really evoke or be relevant with what's happening in our times, especially a political one like Star Wars. But at the same time, part of me does feel like you can't help but just completely either ruin or defeat the purpose of what characters dedicated their whole lives to building when it's this fucking incompetent. I can't help but think of, like, just the people in that room. Mon Mothma and Hera Syndulla among them are heroes of the rebellion that saved freedom throughout the galaxy. And yet this is what they've been reduced to. This is the system that they've chosen to move forward after the Empire, which is just more bureaucracy and more stalling and maybe more of a return to what caused the original Republic to fall in the first place. You lived through the collapse of democracy. You lived the dark days of the Empire. And this is the system that you choose to follow through. Now, I understand that because we have the sequel trilogy now, things kind of have to be this way to get to where we are, I guess, 25 years in the future. I understand that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to make these amazingly brilliant people who have such amazing minds come across so aloof and stupid and out of touch.
Yeah, I mean, I know that people are like complaining about like people who love Andor and like how much they're praising it, but look at the things that they did there with Mon Mothma. Like, they gave her a character, they gave her conflict, they gave her all of these things. And I know that this is just like a short scene, but it just kind of felt like these people are idiots in the worst way. Like, not even like in a competent way, if that makes sense. Like, they're just stupid to be stupid.
Right. And it's so stupid that it borders on just evil because of how ineffective it is. I mean, if you're allowing evil to rise, like, let's, I mean, what we're talking basically here is this council, whatever this was. I know the chancellor was there and then a select number of senators. I don't know why they picked those, but that was the meeting, that was the council. And very clearly what was going on is those senators just ultimately decided that it was in their personal interest to not,
like, at least have somebody. Or okay, they were trying.
Well, there is somebody there. Mon Mothma's supposed to be that somebody. She knows Thrawn.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is have it be equal, where it's like half of them know what they're doing, half of them are just there because they ended up there somehow. Like, you know, have this thing again, conflict. It's okay to have that, not conflict towards the characters that actually lived it and like fought against it. You know what I mean? Like it can't just be them two. I feel like there needed to be more people.
Well, that's the problem. That's part of the problem that's in the situation. Mon Mothma, I understand, probably is in a position where she doesn't want to like throw her weight around or give herself too much power after an empire and an evil emperor. I get you, but Mon Mothma should have more than enough sense to pick people on that council who are not going to be self-serving. She lived through not just the empire, but also the fall of the republic, where there were nothing but self-serving, corrupt politicians. Why not go out of your way to pick people who are like you, who care more about everyone else and you, the last person you care about? Where it was pretty clear to everybody in the room with half a brain that Hera and Mon Mothma were the only people there that were like actually good and not like leaning. Like some of those senators were like straight out of the Republic, the old Republic. And I'm like, what improvement is there? There is no improvement. We're back in the same place we were, which is why fascism is going to rise again with the rise of the First Order.
Yeah. And
I wonder what you think is going to happen.
Yeah. Like that's all that is fine. Like we understand that that is the way that things are going to go. It's just they're treating it like if we are stupid. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, imagine this scene if it was written by Tony Gilroy, who, by the way, I mean, we all know Tony Gilroy, but if you're listening, you don't know who that person is. He's the man behind Rogue One and more importantly, Andor. Andor gave us not just some of the most breathtaking moments in all of Star Wars, but truly, in my view, is the definition of peak television. And it is, by the way, I don't mean to take this away, but let's face it, there's not much to discuss here. I'm going to use this platform to completely destroy the Emmys. First of all, it pisses me off that they picked the first week of January to move their award show. They moved it because they wouldn't have any celebrities or stars attending their shows. The Emmys suck. They have for a long time. And it really pisses me off to knowing that they've, once again, some other group is trying to steal the Globe's thunder, because that's when the Globes are supposed to fucking air, the first or second week of January. And you have all these other people who, I'm sorry, I don't mean to call them, inept or corrupt or stupid. I just feel like they're old and they're boring. And it's like, what? I mean, I'm sorry, House of the Dragon and Andor between them were among not just the best, I guess you could say, genre or fantasy storytelling. They were some of the best TV shows, well, some of the best written TV shows of the last 10 years and then some. And the idea that that entire group just like, and then, oh yeah, let's just give Succession everything again. And I'm not saying that Succession isn't, worthy, or that Succession doesn't deserve those awards. I'm sure it does. My thing is, there's more than one show out there. You don't have to give all of the awards to one show, especially to a show that's already won literally everything in its first or second year. So it's like, Andor, it's hard for us to imagine getting any better than Andor or House of the Dragon in terms of genre storytelling, especially on the storytelling quality on both of those shows far exceeds most of the genre storytelling we get in film on the big screen. And yet somehow we end up in a reality where films like Black Panther end up getting a Best Picture nomination. And yet we can't even get an Andor or a House of the Dragon. Well, I'm sure, I think one or two got nominated, but it's not going to win anything. And by the way, more to the point, I didn't see any nominations for Stellan Skarsgård, Genevieve O'Reilly, who performed on Andor, or for Paddy Considine for House of the Dragon. He completely ignored from the entire industry. And I'm sorry, this is a tangent, not at all related to Star Wars, but I just wanted to get that out there because I haven't had the chance to comment on this. Fuck the Emmys. And I think we all agree on that. Anyway, back to this position of what we were saying here. Imagine if this sequence and these shows were being written by somebody who has any kind of know-how as to what these scenes should make you feel and how they feel brilliantly written and great and actually make sense Because what you have here is, yes, Alexis, you are right. That's a different component. By extension of this scene, it makes the audience feel like we're being like this is being dumbed down for us, because how cartoonishly evil is it? And idiotic is it that this is a New Republic that's just crawling out of the era of the Empire. This major facility was just discovered to have been infiltrated and run by Imperial loyalists. And I was really surprised by Mon's reaction saying, yeah, but wasn't that taken care of? What do you mean that was taken care of? Girl, this major facility was just discovered to have been infiltrated and operated by neo-Nazis who were loyal to the people you just overthrew. Do you not think they're plotting something massive?
Yeah.
Do you not think this is not worth investigating or pursuing any further? It's like, again, what I just mentioned. How often have you heard? This is a report that came out in the early 2000s by the FBI in our reality, in our country, that our police departments were infiltrated by white supremacists and nationalists all over the country. It's been 20 years since that report. Has that been addressed by anybody with any kind of curmudgeon of power? No, it hasn't, because there's no interest to reform the police department. I'm sorry, this really just opened a well here. The Empire is coming back.
It's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
And they do nothing about it. They do nothing about it. At the very least, you could have given us a scene where she waits for those assholes to drop the call, and she just talks to Hera directly and say, yeah, girl, I'm with you. Go and chase these people. Get whatever you can and go and find them.
At
the very least, give us at the very least, give us that to show Mon is not out of touch.
I'll send you to somebody. Like, I'll give you something to help you out here.
Like, you're the Chancellor. You're the Chancellor. Now wield the power.
I can't send you people, but I'll give you tools to help you get there and do what you can. Something. And it's so frustrating because all of this gave me very big, like, Mace Windu vibes. And I say that because after we watched the first 2 episodes, literally the next day I watched the last season of Clone Wars, because I was like, I know this can't be true. Like, I need to see something good. And so I watched it, and even like, I was watching like the thing that they had on Disney Plus, like leading up to the Ahsoka show, and I saw like when in the episode where she leaves the order and all that stuff. And even that, like, you know that these people are wrong in what they're saying, but they have conflict in themselves of what they should do. And you have somebody like Mace Windu where it's like, no, it should be like this. But you also have somebody like Yoda who's like, we might regret this. Like, you know, like, give us that. Like, give us something like that. And that's what I mean, like, create actual conflict, not just go against them and treat it like we don't know what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel like time and time again, we've been getting scenes, and this isn't the first instance, where Mon Mothma just comes across as a weakling, where she just, like, kowtows to the people underneath her. Like, the same thing happened, basically, right, in Rogue One, didn't it? Where in Rogue One, they tried in sending the Rebel fleet, and then wasn't it that they weren't going to send them?
Yeah, they didn't want to send it because they thought it was too big of a risk. And then at some point, once she finds out, I think, like, oh no, there's like this is happening right now. Like, they're gonna infiltrate, and she's like, all right, send the Mon Calamari person, and I don't know. And they were like, no, he's already there. It's like they completely undermined her, basically, and all that, and just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's so weird also, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll get to like the good part. Maybe we'll get to like the part where we know what's actually going on, this and that. But it's only 8 episodes, and we're 3 episodes in, and I still have no idea what's going on. And I've hardly heard these people talk or have a conversation with each other, and the things that they do give us is so bad.
It's just boring, their conversations.
It's
Like,
both.
It's both, yeah. And just kind of like, but also, I feel like you don't even like the conversations that they do have. You really don't need dialogue. Like it's like a lot of it can be told like in expressions and all that, and that's what sucks about the
But when
dialogue
we
is that it's
do need the
unnecessary.
dialogue, it's not there.
Exactly. That's
It's backwards completely.
it's completely backwards and all that, and it's so you could have had so much fun with this. And then I agree with what you guys have been saying and all that. How like they're kind of like dumbing down the good characters and all that. My biggest complaint is that we don't not only do you like if you're gonna make a story where why did the Republic fall and all that, like how did the bad guys gain power, the one thing you also need to focus on is the villains. I don't know what my mind popped in Legend of Korra with Kuvira, is that her name?
Yes.
Her, like how she gained power, basically just like she kind of just took it. She just told people, hey, do you guys want your Earth Kingdom back? Cool, join me and like we'll get that back. And then she just forced people to kind of go, all right, kneel down before me because I'm the one that can give you protection. Like they showed her how she gained power and all that.
Which, by the way, that's exactly the Hitler playbook.
Yeah.
That's literally what Hitler did.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's
she gave them people like she tried to improve weapons and all that, try to make weapons of mass destruction and all that. Like it's like you said, like the Hitler method, but also this is how like the Empire gained power in the first place too. And so we don't know who the villain is in this show.
Let me push back on that. It doesn't matter ultimately because it's not involving this show. But let me just push back on what you said when you said about how that's how the Empire came into power in the first place. Well, not really, because this is where it gets even scarier. The Empire came into power not through the means of it's like what did what's his name Arnim Zola say in The Winter Soldier? I'm throwing it back to we're gonna cross off people and take over at once, but they had that plan because they realized that in the World War they lost it because if you try to take people's freedom by force, they will resist, they will rebel, which is why ultimately Palpatine did not go about it that way. What he did was he realized that democracy was a lie, that the Republic that stood there was so corrupt and full of self-serving people that all it took was a little push, a little luck, and a little talent, honestly, and a lot of planning on both ends to draw an entire galaxy at war, pit both sides against each other. And he is the master manipulator to where he was able to have allies all over the place. And then he got democracy so weak that the citizens themselves and the people in power around him could no longer discern what was democracy and what was authoritarianism. That's why people like Tarkin got into power quickly. Remember, Tarkin, like if you watch Bad Batch, it didn't take Tarkin like 5 minutes to exterminate the Kaminoan people and destroy Kamino, which tells you that they were already authoritarian when they were still called the Republic. And what makes it scary, and that's what George Lucas's prequel trilogy was trying to say in the film, so couldn't quite get there, but that's the idea that Lucas had in his mind. But the scary part about that is that's us. That's our country right now. That's why he had that. That's why Lucas had that in his mind. Like, how bad did things get for an empire like this to even exist? Well, we're seeing that happening with our own democracy in real time right now. We're seeing that story happen.
Yeah.
So, just want to put that out there for people. Again, isn't it so dumb how people have said Star Wars isn't political? When we've been this entire conversation has been based on politics, basically.
Mm.
It's so funny because literally every Star Wars project has
it's Star
politics
Wars
in it. The only one I can maybe say doesn't is like Mandalorian. And
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Mm.
And even then, it's pretty stupid. I mean, you'd think there would be a lot of politics involved with the reclamation of Mandalore and the Mandalorian people coming together.
Exactly.
And no, nothing interesting happened in the show. The armorer lady was like, let's just stop fighting because we want the same thing. She literally said that out loud, and they're like, you know what? You got a point.
You're right.
That's literally all that
Yeah.
show gave to that. And that's not even touching, like what David and I were discussing, the Duchess Satine pacifism of it all, as if that didn't even exist in the
Yeah,
first place.
that's wild.
Or the fact that the Mandalorians themselves, when George Lucas and Filoni introduced them in canon in Clone Wars, were basically stand-ins for like the Proud Boys, these right-wing terrorist groups that were like, fuck your pacifism, we want to fight and kill people, we're going to take it back to the Dark Ages. And then how we were there and where we are now, again, is pretty much a microcosm for what everything feels like when you look at the animated shows and what they are right now. It's like they try and pass it off as if it's exactly what it was and how it was introduced in the beginning, but there's like this missing chunk, missing in between.
And you know what it would have been like? I mean, literally anything else would have been more interesting than what we're getting, but doing like a flashback show.
Yeah, if that.
There's a huge gap that we don't know about. Why? And again, it's an Ahsoka show.
Is it?
Exactly. It's crazy to me. And it's crazy and it's upsetting for a lot of reasons, but I think for me, the most upsetting thing is this is all written by Dave Filoni. And what we have gotten from him before to what we're getting now.
Especially because, like, Dave Filoni, look at his credits, I think, for directing. He directed The Wrong Jedi arc. He directed the whole Siege of Mandalore. He directed Twilight of the Apprentice. He directed the Twin Sons episode with Maul and Kenobi and Rebels, which was kind of perfect, really. He also directed the series finale of Rebels, which in and of itself was an amazing series
He worked
finale.
on The Last Airbender.
Yeah. So he's a brilliant director and writer in animation, but something is just not clicking in live action. And, and again, it doesn't feel like the same person who's written for these characters is writing them now. And so you have to wonder what happened, or did he just get Favreau in his head?
Yeah.
Because Jon Favreau, I don't hate the man. I'm sure he loves what he loves, and I never want to.
And we've loved projects that he's done.
Of course we have. I mean,
Iron Man, like it's
But the way he sees Star Wars is like brain sludge. It's like it does. When I look at Jon Favreau stuff, and I guess now we have to include this into it because I mean he is a producer, and you have to wonder how much of him was in Dave's mind, because it just feels like more of the same vein, honestly. But it's like, to me, when I watch his shows, is what some people, now I'm talking about the good faith, honest people. I don't mean the alt-right trolls that didn't like leftist, I guess, politics in The Last Jedi. But to me, the way that some people so passionately believe and strongly that The Last Jedi does not at all feel like Star Wars to them, this is how I feel about the Mando Favreau Filoniverse in live action. I'm looking at this and it's like, well, it looks like Star Wars. It's got some Star Wars, a lot of Star Wars fan service in it, but like it feels like it's written by people who fundamentally just misunderstood the point of it all. And that's just Star Wars in general. That's not even getting into the point of all of the characters. Because we keep having the same fucking problem every week, every show, every single show. The only time that didn't happen 100% was Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. Now, I wonder if that's because Favreau and Filoni weren't at all involved in it. That's kind of what happened. And Obi-Wan wasn't perfect. We have our problems and issues. But hey, all of us, I think, agree that Obi-Wan got us to like it more than any other show, and it did a lot more right in our Star Wars hearts than it did wrong. Ewan McGregor, young Leia, everything with Vader, that stuff was great. And there was stuff that wasn't so good, and there were many ways it could have been done better. Like, for instance, it should have been a movie and not a show. Yeah. But there's an example of a live action series, not Filoni and Favreau, that we more enjoyed than not. And then when you take into consideration how epic Andor was, considering it was a show that whose big name was Diego Luna, a character that died in Rogue One. And I'm not belittling Diego Luna. I'm just saying that character is Cassian Andor.
Yeah,
he died in a movie, and that's all we ever saw him in. So it's just like, it feels like this is, I mean, the writing was already on the wall, but it feels like this just cements that our problem with Star Wars today is the way that Filoni and Favreau have just taken it and turned it into how they see Star Wars, and we just can't connect to that. And I'm beginning to feel like we're never going to connect to that, because how many shows are we in? I mean, we're in an Ahsoka show, and I'm sorry, this episode was pathetic.
Yeah,
this was amateur hour, and I mean, and there's so many things you can criticize. There's no shortage of things. Like, for instance, I'm sorry, but like, this show is supposed to have a big ass budget, and yet some of the lighting in here was like, I'm sorry, like,
it's just all gray.
We gave Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crap for this. When you see Ahsoka, and there's just like, can I see you? Like, why are you covered up in I know you're in space, but still, it's like, the sets aren't that great either. Some are pretty good, but for the most part, it's just like, I don't see the money. I'm not seeing the budget that this show has.
They spent it on those damn whales that they took 10 years to show us. That's what it was.
And it's just like, from top to down, the lightsabers look okay, but they don't look as good as they could have. And again, these are just like, I'm at this point going all over the place and just, pointing out things that I noticed that I just don't like. I was even taking time out of the episode because there was nothing to say, to just like say, I in addition to Rosario Dawson not doing it for me, even her walk doesn't do it for me. That's how bad it's gotten to the point. But her whole look, the costume, no. The exposed shoulders, no.
Yeah.
The contacts, no.
Just like, everything feels so, like I mentioned earlier, it feels
cosplay,
unearned. Everything that they're doing, everything. I hated that training scene. I hated it.
I hated it.
And not because of the training itself, because I don't understand. Like, I don't.
No, yeah,
none of them are Jedi.
No, it's not.
Why is she training Sabine? Sabine doesn't need to do this training. Sabine was okay on her own. There's no need for her to be doing this.
And you know what? There's a line. I'm not sure some of us may have missed, but there was a line in there because we were bitching about something else, and that kind of happened. And this is where it actually makes it even more infuriating, because I think that line single-handedly revealed their cards, and it may just be that this was just they couldn't think of anything, and that this is what they chose to waste our time with, because there's a conversation that Huyang and Ahsoka have. And Huyang was like saying, well, she's never going to be like a great Jedi. And Ahsoka said, which is a pretty good line, but it makes no sense in context of what's going on, when she says, I don't need her to be a Jedi. I just need her to be herself.
Then let her be herself.
That doesn't make sense with the way this show just portrayed this entire relationship in 3 episodes. Now, that sounds more like the Ahsoka we would know of, but that's not the Ahsoka we've been hanging out with in these episodes. So again, that to me just feels grossly inconsistent, and it also kind of reveals the hand of the writers. Are they saying that Sabine's arc is, I don't need to be a Jedi, I can just be me? What is the point of this? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but based off just that one line reading, that may suggest more. That may suggest what I perhaps may be thinking in that moment.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
I'm reading some reactions here. John D. Lilo on Twitter says, every single character on Ahsoka talks like the automated voicemail you get you call when you call CVS to pick up a prescription. What a review. I mean, I didn't. It was pretty funny. I didn't mean to be funny, but like I was legitimately in just rage and shocked when I heard, it was that sequence. Sabine is in the middle of the ship, and then on the intercom we hear Sabine, Hera's on the line. What delivery was that? What delivery was that? And I know some people were pushing back online about like, why are you criticizing that these characters were so stoic? They've been through so much trauma. Of course they've been this way. We haven't seen that, and this show has made no attempt to even remind or address that in any meaningful way whatsoever. More to the point, this show still can't even communicate worth a damn if one of the lead characters can use the Force or not. They're still, dangling before our eyes as if we're supposed to like figure it out for ourselves, when you don't even need to do that. You just have to tell us, and you should have told us in the first 5 minutes. We're 3 episodes in, and we're still like, will they or won't they? Does she have it or does she not have it? And it doesn't help that the way that the characters themselves talk about whether or not she has the Force itself comes across as quite vague and cryptic.
Yeah.
And will we even care if she did? Like, is she gonna have like a moment in Force Awakens when like, the lightsaber? When the lightsaber like flies past Kylo Ren and we see Rey grab it, like, are we gonna get that or something? We're supposed to go like, oh, but no.
I feel like either way, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Because we spent this whole time with her getting trained for no reason. But then, if she does, what the hell is that? Why? Why? Either way, I'm gonna be mad. So... Yep. Can't wait for next week.
Oh my god. Got 5 more episodes, guys.
And again, like, you saw what happened this episode. They flew, they got to the planet.
That's it.
Yep. And then the bad guy just stared out into the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And putting the whole characterization thing aside, as we mentioned already, Ahsoka and Sabine have
there was no chemistry.
There's no charisma at all.
No charisma. There's no chemistry between them. Like I said, we mentioned it during the fight scene. Like, why isn't there better back and forth going on between them? Like, that is your chance. You raise the stakes. You kind of go like, how do each of them handle the situation? That's the one big thing. It's like during dangerous situations, you're supposed to make each character unique in how they handle it and all that,
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back with the Finn and Poe thing, like, Finn was just the one having super fun, going like, oh my god, look at what I did, look at that. And Poe is the one like focusing, okay, I gotta get through here and all that. But he still likes to have fun with Finn as they're going, as they're trying to escape and all that. This one, though, is just kind of like,
all right, you got it.
You got
okay,
it.
I
Good
got
job.
it.
I got it too.
I missed him. Oh, I got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and it's like frustrating because Ahsoka, I'm not saying we could have gotten another Anakin, but she very much is influenced by him and how he is. We could have still gotten that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not.
Yeah.
And I understand people saying, oh, they've been through so much. Okay, yes. But she's still that way. She could still be that way. There's no need for her to be this, like, person just looking around, like, doing nothing.
Yeah. Again, it's just there's no struggle within her. Like,
or at least not that it's being shown.
It's not that, yeah, like, she should have struggled within her. Again, we're past a war now. We're technically in peaceful times. Okay, like, who is she when she's not fighting a war?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, cool, you're training someone to control their force powers. Great. But you don't want them to be a Jedi. Cool. What's the difference?
Why?
What do you want to be? What do you want to be, and what do you want your Padawan to be? And all that. Which again, they should have brought in the fucking kid to like figure that out. At least we'll know for him that like he'll probably have force powers.
For sure.
For sure, yeah. And so, yeah, it's just I don't understand what these characters are going through at all.
Okay, I think we may be out of time here. But if anybody else wants to say anything at all, I feel like it's pretty much been said. This was in some ways as good as we thought it would be, which isn't at all, and in some ways even worse than what we had anticipated. So again, like here we are a week later, episode 3, and the bar continues to be lowered and lowered and lowered. So yeah, this was what this was. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Dave. Thank you all for listening or watching. If you did, if not, leave a comment if you'd like. I don't know what is worth engaging with in this show, but remember our podcasts available every single Sunday, anywhere you listen to podcasts, including here on YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you all so much, and maybe you'll see us next time. We'll see. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.